So just a few kind of cleaning up from yesterday. There was a question that came up, and what did they call you? Mr. Bellamy? What did they call you?
Papa B, Father B.
Father B, good, okay. I just realized I got stuck there.
The greater I get, the more popular Papa is.
Papa, okay, because Father, Papa, I got it. So there's a question that came up about the idea of Shabbat being the most important holiday in Judaism, which actually I didn't say yesterday, so that was true. But it's an interesting question about what is the most important holiday in Judaism, because Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is called Shabbat Shabbaton, the Shabbats of the Shabbats, and is often held up as the most important holiday. But it's interesting because there are 3 times that Jews go to Jerusalem and that they make a pilgrimage, and they're called the pilgrimage holidays, and that's Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Those are major holy days within Judaism, and I have heard people hold those up as the most important. And then Shabbat is, for many rabbis, the most important because it allows us to encourage, to demand, whatever you want to use, Jews to be Jewish weekly. And that's really important because once a year Jews, twice a year Jews, not always our favorite experience in Judaism. We want Judaism to be a daily activity, not an annual activity. And many Jews only come twice a year, just like many Christians go to church twice a year as well. Although you guys are so much better doing the weekly thing than we are as Jews. So I think that, we can play what's the most important. I kind of don't like to get into that game because I think all of them are important, but you're going to get different perspectives based on who you talk to as well. And they're all kind of right. And again, that's the best thing. There's a joke about Jews that you have 5 Jews in a room and you have 10 opinions because we even argue with ourselves. So it's sort of what happens within Judaism. So I guess that was the piece I want to say. Let's move for a second to sacred time. Remember I said Jews really put the emphasis on sacred time rather than on sacred space because we have had to move around. We're called the wandering Jews for a reason. We've been run out of many places and have gone from place to place to place to place. We can't bring bricks and mortar with us, but we can bring our holy days. We can bring the different kinds of clothing that we put on, the traditional garb. This can come with us. Our prayer books can come with us, but the sanctuaries that we pray can't. So we've got up and left many, many times, and these are the things we take with us, and that's why sacred time is more important than sacred space. But when we can put down our roots, we do create beautiful structures and beautiful sanctuaries that often model the place that we live in. So for example, Moorish cultures. Moorish is really, in its most kind of basic definition, Moorish is the idea of Moroccan Jews, so Moroccan architecture. Well, if you go to places throughout the world, you will see these beautiful Jewish sanctuaries that have a Moorish texture. Here he goes. Actually in Hungary, which is far away from Morocco actually, but Moroccan tradition has come to that part of the world because Moroccan Jews had to leave and they went to Hungary and they created this beautiful sanctuary. Yeah, so here we have that Moorish structure or Spanish structure. So often we've taken on the architecture of the religious sites that are around us. And that's been a part of how we have modeled and incorporated other traditions within Judaism.
Rabbi, just an interruption. Students, what do you call this tower in a mosque when it's topped by this sort of a thing? It's not a chimney. The azan, the person who calls Muslims to prayer, goes up and calls from there. It's called a minaret. Minaret. And that's a very important architectural thing. And
Very
even though
important.
this is a synagogue.
That's a synagogue.
Right?
So we took, exactly. And what often happens, although it's very cool when it's a human being, they actually put a recording of the call to prayer up in the minaret so that you can be called out, so that somebody doesn't have to go up there. But yes, did you have a question up here? Yes.
If you go back to the first picture.
The first picture? Yeah.
Is that a Jewish temple?
This is the Ten Commandments up there, and this is, I don't know where it is. Where is
It's
it?
in Rumbach.
Oh.
I don't know where Rumbach is.
I've never been to Roma, so I've never seen this. I've been to Hungary, I saw that, but Budapest. But it's this is the beauty of where we are.
Okay. It's in
Germany.
It's in Germany.
Which is pretty incredible. This march, I mean, Germany is Western Europe. It's ridiculous that all of a sudden we bring in this kind of Moroccan sense, but it's part of what we do. So this is Temple Israel. This is where I go. This is where some of you go. I know other people go to other congregations. But what I wanted to do was to show you some of the symbolism at Temple Israel to create sacred space. Because we've had the luxury of being in this country, especially the German Jews who started Temple Israel in the mid-1800s, 1840, 1850s, was an amazing immigration of the German Jewish community. We have had the luxury of creating some sacred space and being on Hennepin Avenue, where all the cathedral congregations are, the Basilica of St. Mary, St. Mark's Cathedral, Hennepin Methodist. We kind of created a sanctuary similar to our neighbors. Something grand, something huge. If you look at the ceiling with the six-pointed star, so the six-pointed star is a fairly new symbol of Judaism. It's the turn of the 20th century, the 19th century. It was on the shield of David, so it's an ancient tradition, but really, if you can point to the seven-branched menorah that's over the doors. Yeah, see, no, over the doors, the exit doors over here. Yeah, there. Can you see it now? There you go. So the seven-branch menorah is really the oldest symbol of Judaism, as outside the Knesset in Jerusalem, and it is the symbol that was in the temple in Jerusalem. So that's a pretty ancient symbol of the seven-branch menorah. Do you have a question, though? How many of you have been at a friend's house for Hanukkah? How many branches are on the Hanukkah menorah, the Hanukkah? Huh? There are 9, right? There are 8 candles and a shamas, and there's a 9th one that lights all the other ones. This is 7, perfect. The 7-branch menorah means the completion of the 7 days, and it was an ancient symbol. It's in the Torah. It tells us how to make it. You're supposed to make it with 1 piece of gold. You can't cut the gold. You have to create it in 1 piece of gold, which you can imagine would be very difficult. And you are to light it. And so the 7-branch menorah is the most ancient, or one of the most ancient traditional symbols. The 6-pointed star came much later and actually sort of was used against us. We know that from the Holocaust, that it was the 6-pointed star on a yellow armband that Jews had to wear to identify themselves as Jews. But much earlier, in the Middle Ages and earlier, Jews had to wear a hat that was yellow with the 6-pointed star as a way of identifying them and making fun of them and mocking them. And so that is a traditional symbol that actually was more used against us, and we reclaimed it. It's like the purple triangle for the LGBT community, that it was used against them and now they're reclaiming it as a positive. So people are wearing the 6-pointed star on a chain around their necks. And that's something that is fairly new in Jewish history because we're so ancient. But, so that's that piece, the 6-pointed star. But architecturally, In Judaism, or in any place, actually, the ceiling is the widest expanse of a ceiling without a pillar that is known. It's a feat. It's an architectural feat. So when you walk into temple, there's like this moment where you feel like, wow. Well, it is wow, because the ceiling feels like it's all encompassing and both keeping you inside the sanctuary and moving out to this place that's unbelievable, because it is one of the widest expanses without a pillar. And so it's pretty profound in that way. And then the six-pointed star. There's the other wonderful symbols that I want to take you through in just a moment. One is, you can't see it, it's off screen, but that's okay. There are 5 doors that lead into Temple Israel and into the sanctuary. And the 5 doors represent Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the 5 books of Moses. How many of you have ever been to Vienna or to Italy? Okay. So, if you've been to Italy, because this is where you're going to find it the most, in the ghetto, that is, Jews started the idea of the ghetto. Actually, the Jewish community was the first group to be put into a ghetto. And a ghetto actually was an industrial reality where Jews in Italy were put into around walls and closed doors. So they were only let out of the ghetto at certain times, except the physicians of the ghetto were let out at any time, because they were the physicians of all of the monarchy in Italy and throughout the world. So they were let out of the ghetto at different times. But the ghetto, yeah, Venice, that's a perfect one.
These are all indoors.
I'm looking to see if we have a picture of the outside of the sanctuary. It's going to be hard to see. Go back down for a minute. Let's see. Here's it. Linda Bailey Zimmerman is not happy. Let's just be really clear about that. Let's see. We can see. So here's the little center. Here's the little center, and the actual. So that's the ghetto. It's perfect. And what you see is that, like, this synagogue is somewhere in there. Would you be able to know where it was? I mean, it isn't this grand building sort of separate from itself. And I can't tell which one it is, but the way that Jews knew the synagogues were that they had either 5 windows or 5 doors. And that's how you knew it was the synagogue, not another apartment house. And you often had to go up 3 flights of stairs or so. I'm trying to see if I can find it. No, it's on the other side. Oh, there. You can see 3 of them. The white building, you can see 3 of the windows that look more like sort of rounded on top. There are 2 more. Yeah, right there. That's how you knew that was the synagogue and not just another apartment building, because you see that it's like every other building. And that's what Temple Israel did when we put 5 doors in front of our sanctuary and 5 doors into our sanctuary, is that it was built in 1928 when there was great anti-Semitism in Minneapolis. And so nowhere would you see Temple Israel Jewish congregation anywhere to be seen. Everybody just knew because of the 5 doors and the doors moving into.
Was the 5-door, 5-window thing in Italy, was that a secret to non-Jews?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. It was a secret to non-Jews.